sa ating lahat. On behalf of the Department of Political Science, I would like to thank everyone for attending this information session about the Master of Arts in Political Science program offered by our department. I think this might be the first of its kind of these info sessions, but this will definitely not be the last. We hope that through these information sessions, we can effectively as well as truthfully promote our graduate programs and invite our current students, students from other universities, as well as other interested Filipinos and even non-Filipinos to be able to apply as well as undertake the MA in Political Science program. So just a brief background, the MA in Political Science program was offered as early as 1935 by the University of the Philippines under its graduate school. In fact, in a couple of years, this means that the MA in Political Science program will be 90 years old, older than any of us in this current virtual Zoom meeting. The MA in Political Science program was in fact offered way before the BA in Political Science program. So let me just say that one of our graduate programs is also one of the first graduate programs of the University of the Philippines. This MA in Political Science program is currently being offered by the department, a department that has the biggest number of faculty members and therefore the biggest political science department in the country. Just to give you the exact numbers, there are currently 18 members of the graduate faculty who teaches under the MA in Political Science program, 16 of which are regular faculty, and 2 are what we call professorial lecturers. Of all of these faculty, almost 95% have PhD degrees in political science and related fields. So therefore, those of you who are interested to take our MA in Political Science program, rest assured that you will be trained and taught by not only specialists, but those that have the necessary qualifications to be able to offer graduate courses, thesis advising, and other forms of mentoring in the discipline of political science. I would also like to say that the MA in Political Science is quite different, perhaps, from other MA Political Science programs offered in the country so far because it is skills-oriented and intense in research and technical training. We want our graduates of the MA in Political Science program to be exposed and for them to learn the different analytical techniques and methodologies in political science. A lot of our graduates become higher education institution teachers, academics, as well as researchers, which I think is quite a well sought after career right now, given the importance being placed on research. So therefore, one misimpression that I want to say so far is that it doesn't mean that you are pursuing an MA in political science that you will just teach, right? So there is a serious focus on research as well as in methodological training. The MA in Political Science program in the University of the Philippines is also a prestigious program in the sense that we have had many alumni, both Filipinos and foreigners, who have taken this degree and who have proudly declared themselves as products of this program. I can distinctly remember when I was taking my doctoral degree in the United States, my professor in one of my graduate courses asked everyone, it was a class of PhD students from all over the world, and he simply asked, who among you has read Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan? And of all the 15 students, only one student raised his hand, and that is myself. So my IR professor even said that it's really telling that it is the scholar from a global South country that knows the classics more than students from the United States and Europe. What I want to say is that the MA in Political Science program is a serious graduate program, serious in the training of political science in all of its subfields: Philippine politics, political theory, comparative politics, international relations, and political methodology. So I do hope that this info session will be highly valuable to those who are attending today. Please feel free to ask questions. The members of the graduate faculty here are spending their weekend, their Saturday morning to spend time with you and to orient you with the program, because if we admit you in the program, rest assured that we want you to be successful and we want you to complete the degree. Yun lamang po. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Alugay. Okay, so now we go to the introduction of the program. Okay, so next, please. There. So our Master of Arts or MA in Political Science program is aimed at individuals who wish to embark on advanced studies and are thinking of establishing a career in the field of academic research and politics. So it is designed for students who already have a basic understanding and or appreciation for teaching and research in the social sciences. So we introduce students to the different analytical techniques and methodologies in political science. They also have the opportunity to engage both faculty and their fellow students in understanding, as well as solving key research problems and issues. Our graduates, as mentioned by Professor Alugay, usually pursue teaching and research careers in universities and other centers of higher education, but not a few become professional practitioners and managers in different political institutions and public agencies, as well as the private sector. So here are the program outcomes. We aim to produce graduates who are able to demonstrate advanced knowledge of various theoretical approaches in at least 2 areas of political science, construct and implement theoretically grounded and practically relevant research using advanced analytical methods and contributes to existing knowledge, communicate specialized knowledge about political phenomena across different publics and audiences, and lastly, to commit to professional excellence and ethical conduct in teaching, research, and public service in political science. Okay, so these are the program requirements. So students have to complete 24 units of coursework, 9 units of which will be from the student's area of specialization that I will discuss later, 9 units of political methodology or area 5, and 6 units of cognate courses. So what are cognates? Cognates are courses related to a root discipline. So possible cognates include international relations or IR courses, Asian studies, Philippine studies, Islamic studies, or any MA level course from any department within the College of Social Science and Philosophy. The students will also have to write a master's thesis and also have to pass the comprehensive examinations. And regarding residence, MAPS or MA in Political Science student is given 5 years to complete the program requirements, including the master's thesis. Residence may be extended every year for up to another 5 years. And please note that if you are a full-time student, or that is if you take 12 units every semester, you could finish the program in 3 to 3.5 years. So now let me introduce the members of the graduate faculty of the Department of Political Science by alphabetical order. So Professor Aris Alugay, who is also the current head of the department, Professor Maria L. Atienza, Associate Professor Dennis Blanco, Professor Teresa Encarnacion Tadem, who is also the current director of the UP Center for Integrative and Developmental Studies, or UPCIDS. Professor Jean Encinas Franco is also the department assistant chair. Assistant Professor Perlit, hi ma'am. Associate Professor Perlita Frago Malasigan. Assistant Professor, John Robert Go. He's also the Associate Dean for Research Extension and Publications. Assistant Professor Sol Dorotea Iglesias. Professor Herman Joseph Kraft. Professor Ruth Lusterio Rico, our College Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Assistant Professor Tean Robles. Me. And next, Associate Professor Rogelio Alicor Panao, Associate Professor Jalton Tagibaw, Professor Jorge Tigno, and Associate Professor John Paul Shalcita. And we also have the following Professors Emeriti: Professor Carolina G. Hernandez, Professor Francisco Nemenso, Professor Felipe Miranda, and Professor Lecturer Dr. Maria Lourdes de Bolita. Okay, so now let's look at the pol sci courses. So we have 5 areas of specialization. Previous slide, please, Minamaki. Thank you. Okay, so Area 1, Philippine politics. Area 2, political theory. Area 3 is comparative politics. Area 4 is international relations. Area 5 is political methodology, which students are required to take. Okay, next. Okay, so for Area 1, Philippine politics, so the core course is Pol Sci 201, analysis of Philippine politics. And these are, here are some sample electives. So you could take also contemporary Philippine legislation, Pol Sci 252, and Philippine local politics, Pol Sci 254. For Area 2, political theory, okay, core course is Pol Sci 220, issues in political theory. Okay, so sample electives, Pol Sci 221, Plato and Aristotle, Pol Sci 222, medieval political thought. Okay, comparative politics is Area 3. So the core course is Pol Sci 270, or theories of comparative politics. Okay, so again, sample electives, the elite in politics, Latin American politics, issues in comparative politics. Area 4, international relations. Core course is international studies 290, theories of international relations, sample electives. We have a lot, but these are just examples. Pol Sci 283, international political economy. Pol Sci 285, issues in international law. And lastly, political methodology. This is a required area. So you have to take Pol Sci 210, advanced political analysis. Another required courses, Pol Sci 211, advanced qualitative methods in political science, or social science 203, Soc Sci 203, advanced quantitative methods, Pol Sci 299, research in political science. Pol Sci 300 is the master's thesis. Okay, you can take this, you can enlist this after you pass the comprehensive exams. Okay, so here are some examples of topics studied and thesis completed by our graduates. So yeah, so food security, centralization, municipal health decision-making, and the politics of societal accountability by Professor Arugay. Okay. Yeah. So now we go to the admission process. So these are the things that you need to know and do if you're interested in applying to our MA program. So the regular application period is usually from April 1 to 15 for the first semester, and October 1 to 15 for the second semester. This time, though, the application period is extended until May 31, 2023 for the first semester academic year 2023 to 2024. And you will need to prepare the following. So an application form. You can access this. It's a Google form. Original and complete transcript of records. Certificate of GWA, General Weighted Average. Original PSA certified birth certificate for Filipino citizens. 3 recommendation letters from former professors and or employers. A letter of application addressed to the department chair, Professor Alice A. Alugay. We are also requiring applicants to submit a short research proposal or a concept note on a research topic or a research problem around 1,000 to 1,500 words. Yeah. And then after submitting these documents, they will be evaluated and qualified applicants will be invited to a panel interview. Successful applicants will then be offered admission, and admission will commence with the applicant submission of relevant forms to the College Office of the Graduate Program, the OGP. Okay, the OGP gives applicants instructions and how to proceed with their admission. And at the end of the process, the student receives an admission slip and temporary CRS credentials. And then the last step, the new MAP student may now enroll. Okay, so these are the frequently asked questions, like how much is the tuition fee? What are the class schedules? Do we have funding opportunities? Okay, so tuition is at 500 pesos per unit. Miscellaneous fees at 1,500. So this includes library fees, student fees, etc. The usual assessment of students with a course load of 6 units is 4,500 pesos per semester. Okay, classes are usually on weekends from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. or Saturdays, but this depends on the instructor, the professor. So the following also are the types of opportunities that you can avail, and the support that the department extends to the graduate students. So there are teaching assistantships. Scholarships are also available. So you can check the Office of Scholarships and Grants, or OSG. There are also CHED scholarships available. Grants like the Loretta Macashar SICAT Thesis Grant. There are also awards like the Loretta Macashar SICAT Prize for Social Sciences. We also encourage our graduate students to attend local and international conferences and colloquiums, as well as to publish. So you can also apply for an international publication award. And then finally, graduation. So a MAP student should apply for graduation when he or she is about to defend his or her master's thesis. Okay, so that's it. So thank you. If you have questions, you may write them in the chat box and I will read them for you, or you can save them for a while and ask them personally later. Because at this point, I would now like to invite Professor Ruth Lusterio Rico to share her insights and advice. So good morning, Ma'am Ruth.
Good morning, Tay, and everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello to my former students.
Hello there. Okay, so siguro my first question. So what are the goals of the MA in Political Science program? I'm sure some of our audience are wondering about this too.
Okay, so we distinguish, of course, between our goals as a department and our intention for you, the program outcomes. No, so the program outcomes have already been enumerated, identified for you earlier. And if you'd like to revisit what they are, once again, I invite you to visit the department website. But our program goals, so it's, again, as I said, it's distinct from the program outcomes. Our goal really is to help our students in their professional path, whatever, to grow professionally so that they can advance in their career, so whatever it may be. But mostly, based on experience, you know, I was also graduate program coordinator for 4.5 years, serving two department chairs, under two department chairs in 2006 to 2010, to October 2010, just before I started my term as chair of the department. So I knew a lot of graduate students, therefore. That's the reason why I said that. And during that time, I could still manage to advise everybody, no? So not that I was a superwoman then, but that was the kind of practice that I inherited from previous coordinators of the graduate program. So that meant that everyone went to me for advising during the registration period and for other things, no? So for their progress as MA students. So actually, right now, we are still doing that, but our GPC, our graduate program coordinator, Dr. Tana, assigned us advisees. So if you will be, for example, if you will be assigned to me, you can write me anytime or even visit me in the office for advice regarding not only courses to take, no, but also other things that are related to your studies as an MA Poli-Sci student, because our goal really is to help our students. As our chair, Professor Arugay, mentioned earlier, once you enter the program, we are committed to help you succeed in finishing the program. So maybe later on we can elaborate what are the other things we do to help our students succeed. But by saying this, I don't mean to say that we will do things for you because you are already graduates. If you apply for the program and you become graduate students, you are already considered as mature students. But that only means to say that we are very open to your questions and any inquiry that you'd like, because as they say, we are not going to hold your hand na parang batang maliliit, ano? Not like that, but we are going to also still mentor you. That is the word, to mentor our students. And that is our goal. So in mentoring, it does not only mean thesis advising, does not only refer to thesis advising, but also mentoring you in terms of the development of your profession, your development in your chosen career. Finally, because the department is a center of excellence in political science, and we are the only one in the country, the only center of excellence in political science, it is also a commitment, therefore, of the department to help those who are teaching in the higher education institutions. Particularly now, because it was mentioned that I'm also currently serving in the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy as one of 3 associate deans. So my area is academic affairs. But the thrust of CSSP right now is to reach out to the different state universities and colleges. Actually, just last Monday only, no? When we had our visitors from the Isabela State University, and we had our benchmarking activity with them. So the whole morning of Monday. And that's just the one exclusively for political science. I think last semester, there was also another university. So in other words, in short, no, that is the commitment of our department. Institutionally, we are here to help those who would like to prosper, to develop further in their chosen careers.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The next question is, what are our alums doing after graduation? So where are they now? Where are they working?
Okay. So, well, I was thinking about this for a few days now, no, where are our alumni? Because truthfully, we don't really track where they are. No? But the recent graduates are actually teaching. Many of them, a big majority, no, are teaching. Well, you know, some students, they didn't finish MA Pol Sci for one reason or another. It's not because they couldn't pass, or it's just a personal choice, because one of the things I think that should also be noted today is that a big majority of our students are working students. So sometimes there are career opportunities abroad, and they transfer. No, they go to another country, and then they continue their studies there. Okay, having said that, many of our students have pursued their studies abroad, and they've finished. So isang anecdote lang, no? Kasi ito, kinuwento sa akin ng mahigit naman sa isang estudyante. No? So my previous student said, no, na advantage yung MA Pol Sci when they transferred to another program abroad. Of course, I don't want that. No? Sana matapos naman ng lahat ng mga nag-e-enroll sa MA Pol Sci yung program sa atin. Pero sabi nila, in their classes, in their universities, it was very easy for them already to complete their courses, especially the political research courses. So therefore, our Area 5. Anyway, just to give you an idea, no, many are as I said, many are teaching. The recent graduates. There are also those in international agencies and in NGOs. So I'd like to just mention one of my thesis advisees works for the United Nations Development Program, and he was actually invited to join us, but he's in another country, and I think there's difficulty in the time zone, no, in joining us. But he told me that he would be very much willing to do it when his schedule allows, and when the time zones permit. No, so that, no, the idea, many pursue PhDs abroad. Okay, many of our graduates pursue their PhDs abroad kasi nga academics. No, sa a big, siguro if I will estimate, mga 75%, no, are teaching. And as I said, I don't really have the statistics on this, but I'm just guessing based on my recollection of the recent graduates, no, that I know of. Well, one graduate is pursuing further studies in Italy. So she also used to be a teaching associate of the department. So this is Celine Socrates. So I listed down, no, the last 5, I guess, who were recent graduates of the program. So Mr. Nathaniel Candelaria is a new faculty member of the department, assistant professor. Of course, Mr. Jonathan Hodder is the one working with the United Nations Development Program. And then Ms. Celine Socrates is a graduate student at in Rome. I forget the name of the university, I'm sorry. And of course, Dr. John Robert Go is a graduate of our department from UP Manila. He applied as an MA Pol Sci student back then, and served as graduate assistant, and then became a teaching associate, and then after graduation applied for a position in the department. The rest is history. Now he's part of the graduate faculty. No? And another one who's part of the faculty is Mr. Nelson Kainghog, assistant professor of the department. Now, Nelson graduated from the BAMA, BAMA Honors Program. Assistant Professor Kainghog graduated from the BAMA honors program. Anyway, with the names that I mentioned, maybe you're thinking, oh, puro mga taga-department lang. Actually, no. Because there are also among our recent graduates who, like Mr. Alan Mendoza, I understand is working for a government agency, and some other graduates, no, who who are not faculty members of the department, but are faculty members of other higher education institutions. So we have a lot of them. So puro teaching ang focus ng mga nasa MA Pol Sci. We have another, of course, as you might know, we have another graduate program, the Master in International Affairs. And that's the more popular program, I guess. Yung MA Pol Sci, talagang maliit na programa siya. Talagang kokonte, historically, kahit nung panahon ko pa. Speaking of my panahon, okay, I will also mention the names of those I recall who graduated from the MA Pol Sci program. Hindi ko naman sila naging classmates kasi mas matandang konti sa akin. If you know the president of Pulse Asia, Professor Ronald Holmes of De La Salle University is also an alumnus. And Professor Julio Tihanki of the De La Salle University. So just examples of the people who are of my panahon.
Okay, so thank you, ma'am. So yun, no? So most of our graduates usually end up in the academe, they pursue their PhDs. Pero it doesn't mean naman na yun na lang talaga yung choice nyo. So you could also, go to NGOs, as ma'am mentioned, and even to the private sector. Okay, so thanks, ma'am. So next question. So siguro curious din sila. How long does it usually take for students to graduate? Kasi we mentioned 3 to 3.5 years. So yun ba talaga po yung usual duration ng program?
Well, actually depende sa estudyante. It really depends on the pace of the student. Because as I mentioned earlier, many of the students, a big majority are working full-time, especially those who are working in other universities. Their teaching load is really too heavy. That's why it takes it takes a long time for them to finish. Some, of course, do it faster than others, if they're full-time students. But related to this is, if your concern is to be able to graduate right away, so that you can finish. Bakit 3 to 3.5 years? Kasi po may comprehensive exams at my thesis. And we cannot offer an MA program without one or the other. And MA Pol Sci has to have both because it is a degree program for somebody who would like to do a PhD. In other words, some people call it a research program. So mapapansin niyo in the curriculum that was discussed earlier, the program is heavy on the research courses, the required area, which is political methodology. And in the revised MA Political Science program, so the one that we are currently implementing, it was revised in 2016 in the revised program. What we did was to strengthen the area of specialization and the skills in doing the analytical skills as well as the practical skills in doing research. That's why we have to have both comprehensive exams and thesis. So for those who are serious about finishing the course in the targeted time, let's say 3 years, as mentioned earlier, there are many opportunities available within the university. And we would like as much as possible also to take advantage of the teaching assistantship program of the university. So if you are interested, so I mentioned some people who went through the that path, no, of being a TA before graduating while being a student, then perhaps we can arrange for them to also have a session about the TA-ship. No, it's briefly, it's something that the department applies for, but we have to have students who are interested in it. So, for example, if one of you would like to become a teaching associate, our department also has its own guidelines for students who'd like to apply. And then we apply to the Office of the Vice President for Academic Affairs. And that is approved by the university system for us to have our teaching associates. No, I think right now we only have one. We can have more because we can maximize this opportunity. No, so in terms of graduation, it's really the employment that is the obstacle no, in finishing the course in time before the MRR ends. No, so given that, having said that, no, many are employed and so on. The normal, therefore, is 5 years for a part-time student. Halimbawa, no, if you take on a job and you take the classes, no, what really takes a lot of time is the thesis, the completion of the thesis.
Yeah, so dun minsan talaga tumatagal no? And it's good that ma'am mentioned yung TA-ship kasi magandang opportunity din yun, especially for grad students na ang goal nyo is to become academics kasi teaching experience siya. So maganda yung when you start applying for yung full-time teaching jobs na. Okay, so thanks again, ma'am. So ito yung next question. So dalawa na lang, patsabayin na natin. So what are the few things that surprise new students about this program? And what type of person is most successful in this program?
Okay, so maybe the other faculty members can also contribute, no? But yeah, but in my view, I'll deal with the second question. No? The one who is more likely to succeed, I think, is one who's serious and motivated. No? One who will plan out, ito yung gagawin ko para makuha ko yung degree. No? So, balikan ko lang saglit yung TA-ship. No? It might create the impression that everyone who applies to become a TA and becomes a TA will become a faculty member of the department. Hindi naman. Okay, our goal is also to give you to the other institutions. No, you can just be a TA while you are an MA student. So that's my answer for the second question. Who is most likely to be successful? So one who's serious and motivated about earning the degree. It really depends on the student. And then because on the part of the department, again, as I mentioned, I believe we are committed to help you succeed. What surprised new students about this program? I don't really know, but maybe it's the methods courses are quite shocking for some. No? So when they start doing 210, because I don't know, maybe in the undergrad they have not really been exposed to such kind of course, or it's or the expectation of the faculty members. No, but I think. Nasa-shock lang naman. Eventually, they get the hang of it. So maybe let's invite the others to also jump in and share their thoughts.
The professors Arugay, CS Franco, and Iglesias, and Blanco are here. So any tips for our prospective students? Yes, Ma'am Jean.
Hi, Tay. Hi, everyone. I think the best way to sort of survive and also finish the course is to, like what Dr. Lusterio Rico mentioned a while ago, you need to be able to be strategic. One way to do that is to already plan out the papers that you will do in each of the courses, so that each paper will already contribute to your review of literature for your thesis. Meaning to say, once you reach the thesis stage, you're already quite an expert on the topic that you wish to embark on. Then it makes it very easy for you to journey throughout the thesis phase of your graduate program. Because in my reckoning, kaya nagtatagal yung iba because they keep on changing topics, or they keep on changing advisors. Kasi syempre, pag iba na yung topic mo, hindi naman pwedeng yun pa rin ang advisor mo kung hindi naman niya specialization yun. So, and may bureaucracy din eh. You have to file papers, you have to fill out documents. So, and once again, merong tinatawag na maximum residency requirement. So, madaming requisites that you have to go through if you keep on changing topics. So, I know it's not easy as it sounds, but then you just have to be more reflexive of your interest, so that you're willing to really, hold on to your topic. And even if you change somehow, it's not really an overhaul. Kumbaga, andun pa rin yung kabuuan ng topic, but then meron lang a certain tweaking. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, ma'am. So this is also why we ask you to submit your research proposals along with your application documents, para that early pa lang, you more or less know what research topics you would like to work on, who could be your supervisor, no? So you could just parang, it doesn't have to be perfect. So sabi nga ni Ma'am Jane, you could still revise, pero at least you have an idea, no? Yung research topic or the field, the area, the issue that you would like to work on. Okay, so yes, Prof Iglesias.
Thank you, Dr. Tana. Hi, Tay. And good morning, everyone. I guess because we've gone to, just to respond to what Dr. Tana was asking in terms of tips, no? I think one thing that really distinguishes graduate school from being an undergrad is the amount of reading you have to do, okay? And this is also what distinguishes a good graduate student from a not very, how should I put it, a more successful graduate student from ones that might not be as successful. The ability to go through all that material, understand it, and later on engage with it, in the comprehensive exams, for example, and so on. So in terms of tips, I think that when you're a grad student doing your maps, let's say, group work is actually more like group work, and being able to rely on your classmates. It's a bit better compared to when you're an undergrad. Maybe because at this stage, people are more mature, people are more focused and more determined. So just as a tip, when it comes to getting through like all the material you have to get through in a graduate program like this one, form study groups. Either small groups among your class, or if it's a very small class, help each other out, especially if there's an exam at the end of the semester. And this is something that will help you even for the comps. What can a study group do? You can divide the readings among yourselves so that, and then each of you, may toka-toka kayo, no? So each of you has at least one reading na ikayo talaga ang magsa-summarize for the rest. Like a one-page summary focusing on the central argument and the supporting evidence. And then you can just sort of skim through the others or refer to the summary when you're sort of like lightly reading the rest of it. But it gives you a sense, an easier sense of what the material is. And it becomes an exam reviewer at the end of the semester, at the end of the 3 years, and so on. So yeah, like survival tips for grad school.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iglesias. So yun din, no? So I recently talked to one of our graduates. Sabi niya, ma'am, talaga na-shock ako sa number of readings sa grad school. But that's grad school. Okay, and you also have to learn the art of note-taking, as Dr. Iglesias said. No? Yes, Dr. Blanco, Sir Dennis.
Hi, thank you, Ma'am Tay. Well, I think if I have to anchor the responses to that question on how to survive in the grad school in the MA Political Science program of UP, I have to utilize yung program outcomes ng department about MA. One is that you really have to be flexible, you have to be adaptive, and you have to cope up with the theoretical perspectives and approaches that the program is insisting on. Kasi ako, coming from, I didn't came from UP, but of course, when you're going to take MA in UP, you have to be exposed and immersed with different theoretical approaches and paradigms that you never probably accustom or encounter in other institutions. For example, when you talk about patron-client framework or state-society relations or other reinventing the government, these are paradigms that you didn't knew before. No? And once you are thrusted into the program, you have to love it. You have to embrace it, no? Because that will be the starting point of your theoretical research, no? But once you familiarize yourselves with the theoretical imperatives of the program, another challenge is how we're going to situate it in the research endeavor. No? Even the methodological and epistemological tool is very challenging, no, in the department. And of course, what courses or subjects that surprises graduate students more is, of course, is the interdisciplinarity, is the versatility of the curriculum, no? Because you have 5 areas that you have to contend and that you have to work on. Unlike in other institutions, probably, the clustering of courses is not very clarified, no? And in which you see that 5 areas broken down to several clustering of courses. So if you are coming from a different institution and you're going to enroll in MA program in UP, I think it is imperative, it is a must that you have to embrace the theoretical approaches and be able to convert and transform that into research-intensive or research-driven practices. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir. Yeah, so theories are important, but don't worry, it's something that you're going to learn in class. I think just to follow up to what Sir Denny said, I think what's more important is how you apply this theories to real-world problems. So one tip from a student, from a recent graduate, is that he always keep up to date with current events, and try to apply what he learned in class to this real world issues, like what's happening in the South China Sea, in Ukraine, all that. Okay, so this is also something that's going to be very useful when you take your comps. So start practicing this early. Apply what you learn in class to real world situations or real world problems. Okay. So next question. So we mentioned the requirements kasi earlier, diba, that you need to submit a recommendation letter and also a sample writing. So I would like to ask our graduate faculty, Ma'am Ruth muna siguro din, what makes a good recommendation letter and what makes a good writing sample or research proposal, and the others could also contribute later.
Okay, thank you for that. For the recommendation letter, ask somebody who really knows you as a student to write that letter, so that the letter will express the recommender can write there in that letter that you will most likely succeed in finishing the program, because a recommendation letter is like an endorsement of you. No, the student has been my student in the past, so on, and exhibited these qualities, blah, blah, blah. So that the graduate faculty of the department who will evaluate the records will see that there is indeed somebody who vouched for this student. No? Kasi it's really not just the grades. No? And going back to that shocking, what shocks new students, no? I like that Dr. Iglesias mentioned the amount of reading that you'll have to tackle in grad school. And there is, of course, there is a way of tackling it even if you're working. So that's a very good idea it's really a very good idea to have a group, to have your batchmates, no? To be connected with them. Ngayon, ang dali na because we have Messenger, etc. No? So yun, no? In the recommendation letter, I think it should come from somebody who can really vouch for your abilities. And of course, we put there former professors or supervisors, job supervisors. But if your current job does not have anything to do with you being a political science student, I think the recommendation will not really count. The weight, no, will not really be much. Now, the other question is about
the research proposal.
The research proposal. Okay. It would be best if you come back to your, if you review what you've done in your undergrad. So may I ask a little bit of participation and also for us to know if you're really there. Can you put a thumbs up if you have an undergraduate degree or will have an undergraduate degree in political science? A BA or an AB? Okay, thumbs up. Okay. Most of them. Okay, very good. So thank you. So we know that you're there. Sige. As I was saying, review what you've done in your undergrad. Some programs in other universities require a thesis in their undergrad, isn't it? In their undergrad program. So reviewing nyo na. Kasi minsan din, the panel will ask, the ones who will interview for admission will ask, what do you intend to do for research? Pero if you have already a thesis, diba, that's sort of ready-made already. So review nyo na lang. And I think also if you review that, then you can come up with your 1,000 to 1,500 page, 1,000 to 1,500 word essay on your proposed research problem or your mini research proposal for admission. Titingnan lang naman dyan kung Polisay ba talaga yung topic na inaral mo eh. And don't worry, hindi naman kami mag-grade talaga dyan na, eto, no? It's really as an assessment of what our students, prospective students already know. And don't also feel insecure that maybe, hindi ako pwede dyan kasi wala ako dito, o ganyan. There are ways to catch up. No? So, ang tip ko naman dyan is that magbasa na kayo or mag-review na kayo ng Andrew Haywood book para ready na kayo na to take up, read the portions that are relevant to the area that you're choosing as an area of specialization. Siguro yun naman ang mga tips ko for those who will apply.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am. So usually also to add, what we look for, so narrow ba? Is the topic narrow enough? Diba? Pero not too narrow, diba? Research question, sana, kung if you're able to identify also an argument. Dito rin siguro papasok yung sinabi ni Dr. Blanco kanina about theory. So kung meron na kayong a little background about theory, then it's a good way to show na, to demonstrate na alam ko to and this is how I can apply this theory or this paradigm to this particular problem. So again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Pero makita lang namin yung potential nyo as graduate students in the essay. Yes, Professor Alugay.
Doon lang sa recommendation letters, it might be in the website, but Maki, please confirm that kasi we can receive letters from your former professors, but there's also a form that they can fill up, and this form is a college form of the Office of Graduate Program. So Maki might be able to send you the template, and then normally it's filled up either online, hindi online siya kasi parang PDF lang yung document, or possible referees or possible recommenders for your application, they can just fill up the form. So both are acceptable, but you can also send yung actual letter. Sa program of study, we just kaming mga nasa admissions committee before, we just want to have a sense of your research interest, because remember that MAPS has a thesis, and part of our assessment is that we also want to be able to determine if we can really train and mentor you, kasi magkakaroon ng dapat overlap with your proposed program of study and the specialization and research interests of the faculty, because we want you to be mentored, to be advised by who is the specialist, who has experience in the teaching and research of your chosen area or your chosen topic. So that's a principle that our program pretty much is respectful of. So therefore, we want to have a sense. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na yun na yun, pagdating nyo ng, because coursework, if you take courses, your research interest might change, and there might be new developments in politics that might sway you to do your topic. So for example, I wanted to study sana the ombudsman in the beginning, but EDSA DOS happened in 2001. I was on the streets participating in the anti-Estrada protest. So that catalyzed my eventual thesis, because of that singular event that has not only affected me personally, Ma'am Ruth, kasama ko si Ma'am Ruth sa EDSA, but it has also profoundly inspired me to study civil society, to study the role of the military in politics. So therefore, pwede pang magbago, depende sa mga courses na kukuhanin nyo, at depende pa sa what area of politics you are passionate about.
Yeah, so thanks, Prof. So it's good that you mentioned the area of specialization, kasi we also asked that during interviews. So what's your area of specialization? Who do you think could be your advisor in that? Pero as Professor Alugay mentioned, it's not really set on stone, so you can change your mind. Yeah. Okay, so as long as you could finish on time. So yun naman. So you have to also bear that in mind. Okay, so yun lang yung questions ko for Ma'am Ruth. But there is one question from our audience, from Paul, I believe. So he said, hello, Paul. Would just like to ask whether there are opportunities to do exchange programs for one or more semesters, especially if there are no graduate courses offered in UP that are fully connected to our research plans and interests.
May I answer that?
Sige, yes, ma'am.
Okay, being the one who is most excited to participate in a program being offered by the Office of International Linkages of the UP system, because I've had this information for a long time and have shared it with my students, but so far no takers yet. So there is I'll just mention one particular program, which is Cooperate. So we have, hindi lang ako, pero the other faculty members also, the other graduate faculty members, have, in fact, have perhaps more than me, are really very well networked, no, in universities where we have a memorandum of agreement. So the idea is for this, the program is called Cooperate. The idea is for the student to spend a semester in a university abroad, and there will be a co-advisor. So this will happen when the student is already in the thesis stage to do the research. So the partner professor, so for example lang po, myself, if I have somebody in another university, and I have an advisee, for example, then we can come up, we can apply for that program. So just, I don't want to take up too much of the time to explain it, but the short answer to that question is yes, there are opportunities that are available, and what is needed is really just the cooperation of the advisor. So if a student is interested, so nabanggit na kanina, no? I think it's Professor Jean Franco who mentioned you strategize, be strategic, no, in about your plans. So kung meron kang ganyan plan, planuhin mo na ang buhay mo. No, if you have that target, make that plan. I'm just telling you that there is one, and I'm very eager to have our department participate in it. Kahit hindi ako, kahit yung iba, pero ako, I'm willing to be the one who will be the guinea pig, no? Kasi the first one to do it, usually siya yung nakaka-experience ng mga yung mga concerns, diba? It's better if you're the second one kasi meron ng previous experience. Kung ano yung naging problema dun sa una, mare-resolve, no? Or at least ready ka na to face that particular challenge. But I'm very willing to be the first one if ever there's somebody interested to do it, no? Having said that, finally, the other units are doing it. No? So kaya ako lang, I'm excited to do it with an MA Poli-Sci student in the future, hopefully. Thank you.
Hopefully, itong batch na to, no? Wow.
So mag-apply, sino yon? Si Paul?
Si Paul.
Okay, so Paul, I don't know you yet, but that's the answer to your question.
So thank you, Paul. Hope that would motivate you to apply to the program. No? So are there any more questions from our audience? You can just raise your hand and mute yourself and ask the questions directly. So, going once, twice. Wala na? Okay, if you have hindi nyo naisip or nahiya kayo, no, so you can just email the department, so Miss Maki, and she will forward the questions to us. And sometimes siya yung sasagot since she's also very familiar with the policies of the department's graduate program. Okay, so thank you very much, Ma'am Ruth, Dr. Iglesias, Dr. Franco, Dr. Blanco, and Professor Alugay. So now may I call on Miss Donna Beltumandao. Hi, Donna.
Hello,
so as I've said, so Donna is a current student. She's writing her thesis and she's the recipient of the LMS thesis grant. Yeah, so could you please tell us a bit about yourself, Donna? Like, anong year ka na? Stage of your candidacy?
Yeah, I'm actually, as mentioned by Dr. Taytana, I'm at the latter end of the program. I'm currently working on the completion of my thesis. I am really hoping that I'll be able to defend my thesis the second semester. Owing to some challenges arising from the pandemic, it took me a long time to actually work on my thesis proposal as well as my thesis, but through the LMS thesis grant as well. I'm really happy that I'm almost done. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish it the second semester of the current academic year. I entered in 2017, ma'am, so it's like my 6th year, I believe. Nagtagal lang talaga ako because of the pandemic. So it's really a big challenge for me. Yes.
Yeah, and you're in Tacloban now, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently based in Tacloban. As mentioned earlier, I'm also many of the students of the program are teaching in higher education. I'm also an instructor of political science here at UPV Tacloban College.
Okay. So again, no salamat. So it's a weekend.
It's okay, ma'am. I'm happy to do it as well.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So first question,
Mm.
what is your grad school experience like? Or what do you
Oh.
like more? And also, what do you like about the program?
I think I can describe it in 2 words. It's been a very challenging experience, obviously. I mean, I think a lot of graduate students could attest to that. Any graduate school experience would be very challenging. But for me, it's really a worthwhile experience, especially as I mentioned, I'm also an instructor of political science at in my home institution, which is UPV Tacloban College. And worthwhile siya for someone who's in the academe because at this point, currently our faculty resource is quite weak. So if I'll be able to obtain a master's degree in political science, especially from the Department of Political Science at UP Diliman, I'll be able to help strengthen our faculty resource. And later, I think when I decide to pursue higher studies, obtaining a degree from the department would be a big help for me. So I'll explain later why I find it challenging, but I would like to highlight first, especially for the prospective students here, why did I choose to apply for admission into the MA program of the department? It was already mentioned, I believe, by Mom Ruth earlier. The Department of Political Science is the only CHED Center of Excellence in Political Science in the country, and that's the main reason why I chose to apply for admission into the MA program. As you have already heard, the faculty of our department are among the top and the best pol sci scholars in the country. They are widely recognized for their contributions to their respective areas of expertise, as seen through their various research projects, their publications, and even public service. You might have actually seen them getting interviewed sometimes, by journalists. They're called political analysts. So that's one of the reasons. And I think one thing that prospective students would like about the program is the tuition fee, as presented earlier. Compared to other universities and colleges, the tuition fee is very affordable. So that's one consideration. And personally, when I started the program, what I like about it is that, as presented earlier by Ma'am Tay, it allows students to specialize in one area. And I appreciate as well that the fifth area, which is political methodology, is a required area. So I find it really useful when I started working on my thesis. By the way, my area of specialization is Area 1, which is Philippine politics, and my thesis mainly focuses on the decline of a political dynasty. So that's my topic. For the second part, why do I find it challenging? I think it was already, these things were mentioned by our graduate faculty earlier. But I think even though my undergraduate degree is BASS Political Science, actually, when I started the program, it has made me aware of the so many shortcomings, and there were a lot of things, as I think mentioned earlier by Sir Dennis Blanco. There were a lot of things which I wish were introduced to us during our undergrad, but I only learned about them when I started graduate school. But I think that's the point of being in grad school. We're supposed to learn. So that's one. Another challenging part is, as mentioned earlier, in studying political science entails a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of doing research. And in fact, in many of my classes, it requires reporting in class as well. So it would really ask you to devote a lot of time and effort to work on your course requirements. But I believe overall, these things do help students improve a lot of skills. So it's really helpful at the end of the day. Another challenging thing, at least in my case, ma'am, because I started working on my thesis proposal during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it really it's really the highlight of my graduate school experience. I had to go back to my province. I'm from Leyte, and I live in my hometown. The biggest problem is internet connection. So I had difficulty completing my thesis proposal because weak internet connection. And later, data collection, when I did my data analysis and even the thesis writing stage, I was already rendering service in my home institution. So I was, juggling these tasks as a faculty, part of the faculty, and also working on my thesis. So it was really challenging because I think other working students would also have the same challenge when they get to be admitted to the program. So far, yun naman, challenges.
Okay, thanks, Donna. I guess na-answer mo na to indirectly in some way, pero siguro just to stress, so how is the program helping you with your current and future career plans?
Currently, as I mentioned, because I'm also working in the
Now you're
academy.
teaching, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. There were a lot of realizations that I had, like the reading materials, the important reading materials that I read in grad school. I actually introduced some of them to my, how I am
your own
teaching my hand.
students.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. And I found it really useful. And for our department, I think if I get to complete the program, that would really help our department strengthen our faculty profile. So that's one. And I also intend to actually pursue higher studies after this.
PhD.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We're highly encouraged as faculty. We're highly encouraged to do that. But I think getting a degree from the department would really help me boost my application.
Right. Okay. Good luck with that PhD applications after thesis. Okay, so next question, how would you describe the learning environment in UP? Like, what kind of support are you receiving from the graduate faculty, the department, and even the university?
Well, the learning environment, in the department and even in CSSP, the environment has been really conducive for learning. The facilities that the department and the college in general have are quite nice. The non-teaching staff, both in the department and the OGP, are very kind. They're very accommodating. So, for example, si Ms. Maki in the department, I've asked her a lot of times. I have a lot of concerns. She has been able to assist me. The graduate faculty of the department are also very approachable. They have helped me in some of my requests in relation to my scholarship. I'm a CHED scholar. And I also some requests or requirements from work. So they have been able to help me. Talking about the opportunities and aid from the department or from the university, we as students of the department, oftentimes we receive emails from the department and from the OGP, the Office of the Graduate Program, emails about opportunities where students could apply for financial aid, for support, where in order for them to complete their research or thesis. And in some there were some emails about opportunities for students to present their papers in conferences. And in my case, I was encouraged by my thesis advisor, Dr. Maria L. Atienza, to apply for the Loretta Macasiar SICAT thesis grant, which is I think it's a $3,000 grant. I'm really grateful that I was selected as the recipient of the LMS grant. And as I mentioned, it really helped me in dealing with some financial difficulties that I faced during my data collection, even during the thesis, because financially, COVID-19 pandemic, it was truly difficult. So it really helped me in dealing with some financial difficulties. But aside from that, being the recipient of the LMS grant, in a way, it was a confidence booster for me to finish and to complete my program. I mean, the thesis, and eventually complete the program. I also believe it would help me when I apply for a PhD. I could include it there as a recipient of the grant. So I hope it could help me strengthen my application when I decide later on to pursue a PhD later.
Yes, of course, it will help you. Okay, so congratulations again for getting that grant. Okay, last, siguro, any advice for the prospective students, for our applicants?
Similar advice, I think, to what the other graduate faculty mentioned. But the biggest lesson I learned, which I would like to share to our prospective students, this is really a big lesson for me. I think I wish I had seriously considered this, that before you start, or if you're just about to start the program, you already have a research topic in mind and that you have at least read enough literature about the topic. Along the way, as mentioned, I think earlier by Mom Jean, you could develop that as your thesis topic. And in that way, you could save a lot of time actually, because you would have accomplished sufficient research work for that particular topic. So it would be really helpful if you already have a research topic in mind. So, you are a master already of that particular topic. So you save a lot of time. Another advice or tip that I could give is, I think this was pointed out earlier by Dr. Iglesias, but one thing I noticed is that there are very few students in the MA and the PhD programs. So even during yung batch namin, in comparison to the MIS students, I think it's now called MIA, but yeah, before the MIS students, I noticed that there were many students in that program. Medyo nainggit ako noon ng konti. Because like I noticed how they were really close with each other. I heard that they sometimes review together for exams. They have like their own study groups. They discuss what they have learned from their class discussions. And that's in the life of a graduate student. It's important to have, friends and be close with your classmates, constantly talk to them, so that you won't feel alone in the program. But in our case, kasi konti lang kami and several were actually working. So we rarely talk outside our classes. So that was one factor that actually we felt alone, example of doing and reviewing for exams or preparing for the comprehensive exam. But I wish this batch, if you decide or you get admitted to the program, you also take that into account. It will be really helpful to have study groups and constantly talk to your classmates. Another thing, which I think if there are students who, just like me, are coming from provinces, so prospective students who are coming from provinces, one of the challenges that I had to deal with is some adjustment issues, because I come from the province. So adjusting to the city life in Metro Manila and Quezon City was quite a challenge for me. So for those students, probably main issues like transportation, baka malate kayo sa klase nyo, and cost of living are, I think, key factors that you need to take into account if you decide to move to Manila and start the MA Political Science program. So I think yun lang naman. I think the others, ma'am, have been already mentioned by the graduate faculty.
Okay. So thank you very much, Donna, for sharing your experiences and tips. So again, good luck with your thesis. So we look forward to your defense soon, very soon.
Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
Thank you. So any questions or comments from our audience? You have questions? Don't be shy. We don't bite. Or we have sufficiently answered, your any questions that you might have, siguro. Any questions? So last chance to ask your questions directly to us. Okay, so if there's nothing else, then I would like to thank Maki, yes, you're raising your hand.
Yes, ma'am, there are questions regarding procedures.
Sige. So perhaps you can just read them out.
I know, ma'am. They can just email me at email us at polsci.upd.edu.
Okay. Okay, so it's just a procedures on applications.
Hindi ko po masagot sa chat kasi I'm doing some techie duties.
Okay. Sige. So yung mga technical questions, so pwede naman sagutin na ni Maki yan. Just send us an email, so we will reply to them promptly. Okay? So wala na from our audience na gusto itanong. Okay, sige. So thank you again, everyone, for your attendance and interest. And we hope to receive your application soon. So I hope you found this info session helpful, fun daw, and encouraged you to apply to our MA program. So please remember that the deadline for applications is on May 31 this year. So yeah, at the end of the month. Just in case na successful yung applications nyo, and you're able to be admitted to the program, don't give up. So may mga challenges like Donna said, pero the rewards are greater than any of the challenges. So don't give up. Be confident. Remember why you started. Okay? So yun. So again, thank you. And
Okay.
meron pa?
Ay,
Meron
sorry.
pa?
May pahabol po kasi baka gusto nilang marinig yung sagot dito.
Oo, sige.
Basahin ko po.
Sige.
Good afternoon. The remarks of Prof. Aris earlier is very much encouraging for me as an average person, especially when it comes to assisting students on how to go about their respective research work. What will be your suggestions for those aspiring applicants who don't have grades in the who don't have good grades in the undergrad, but with good standing and years of experience in his or her profession related to the program?
Okay. So you don't really have to be an exemplary student, no? Wala namang average student. Kailangan namin ay matyagang estudyante. Tama ba? Sige, Prof. Alice, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you see in the application requirements that application to the graduate program oftentimes, especially in UP, has a required grade point average or general weighted average. But this is where I think, unlike other, when I applied for my PhD, I was not interviewed, no? But the interview is to somehow really get a sense of the applicant that the paper documents might not necessarily reveal. So if you should not be discouraged just because you do not have an excellent or an outstanding undergraduate record, because there are other ways to measure your capacity to undertake a graduate program, no? But it really depends. There was a time where in the department was very strict, no, with the GWA and GPA. Kumaga, how do I describe? Maybe because there were too many applicants and it was really just an easy way to do a first cut. But as I mentioned to you, we really put also some weight on professional experience, especially if it is in line with the goals of the program. And if you have, you might not have a good undergraduate record, but yung commensurate naman yung experience, and it's highly relevant and aligned with the MA in Political Science program. But siguro hindi nabanggit kanina, no, at wag naman po sana matakot yung mga mag-a-apply, but we since we want you to succeed, normally when we admit you, we sometimes admit you on a probationary basis. And why do we do this? For some of the factors are, one is that upon our assessment with your paperwork and with the interview, in our judgment, mas maganda na mas matutukan nyo yung first year of your graduate program. So the probationary status doesn't mean that you are less of a student than others. It is really more that we want you to be able to adjust immediately, and by doing so, pag probationary status, ano ba ibig sabihin nun? That you should have grades, no, and completed your courses in your first year as a graduate student. So no drop, no incomplete, because this is a way for you to really focus and therefore to easily assimilate in the graduate program. And we normally give this to students upon our assessment that the student will need to focus and kumaga tumutok, no, dun sa graduate program. After a year, that status will be lifted, no? Kasi may nakikita kami yung students promising and all, pagdating ng first sem magda-drop. Pagdating ng first sem magi-incomplete. And we do want serious, as mentioned by Professor Ruth earlier, we want serious students, and hindi naman you have to prove yourself, but if you are diligent, if you are focused on your studies, the probationary status, hindi mo yan mapapansin, no? And you will just realize that it's been lifted, and you can continue with your program. So kumaga para lang the status is really to help you succeed in the program. So please do not be please do not prevent yourself from applying to the program basta nakita nyo yung GWA or kung sa tingin nyo mababa yung grades nyo. But please do bear in mind that if you are already in the program, that your grades need to be 2 or better. Because if not, the department's policy is that they will not be credited. Now, pwede nyo mong sabihin, naku, ang hirap naman, 2 or higher dapat yung grade. But if you do the work and if you are attending classes, if you are reading the readings, if you are participating and turning in your outputs, there's no reason for you not to get a grade of better, even way better than 2.
Okay, so thank you very much, Prof. Alugay. It's very encouraging for our potential applicants. I think we have another question from Paul. Paul, would you like to ask the question yourself? You can just unmute. No need to turn on your video if you don't want to. Okay, so perhaps medyo baka mabagal yung internet connection or baka in transit. Okay, sige. So Maki, you can just probably just read.
Quick question daw po. Can you discuss briefly about any opportunities for interdisciplinary study within the MA Pol Sci program? Just curious lang po as someone who may be interested in political sociology. Yan po.
Prof. Alugay, would you like to answer that question?
We have cognate courses, no? And the program allows you to take courses in related fields. So I suggest if you're interested in sociology, you can take courses yung cognate courses and therefore you can bridge to another discipline. The other forms of interdisciplinarity that I'm thinking of is that when you are at the thesis stage and with of course the advice of your thesis advisor, then you can also tap one of the professors in other fields to be part of your committee. And therefore, kasi yung thesis committee naman parang hindi lang yan yung taga evaluate ng thesis. These are also going to, some of them, particularly the members, they're going to be your mentors as well. So while you are being mentored by the advisor, you can also get some form of mentoring. Pero siguro ang advice ko, no, especially dun sa mga sa thesis stage, no, always trust and follow your advisor. Your advisor knows best. So, normally, nahihirapan yung student pag hindi niya sinusunod yung advisor. Pero trust me, no, there will become a time wherein you can do your independent research without an advisor. But in the meantime, if you are in an MA program, please follow and trust your advisor because they know best and they will help you finish the program. The more that you veer away from your advisor, ang nakikita namin, the more na nagtatagal at nagiging hindi successful.
So thank you, Aries. Thank you again, Paul, for the questions. Do we have any more questions? Meron nga. So sorry for asking this late. Technical question lang po. How flexible is the program for employed prospective students in peripheral regions, like, for example, in Mindanao?
Let me answer that because a few days ago, the university has released its academic policies for the incoming academic year. Unfortunately, these academic policies are going to be issued every year. So hindi yan with finality. But I think I interpret the news quite positively because it will still allow fully online classes for the incoming academic year. So yun nga yung naging issue, no? Nung pandemic hindi issue yun, but once the university allowed face-to-face classes and activities, nagkaroon ng ganun no. So this is still something that the department needs to talk about, kasi naiisip namin while fully online classes pwede pa rin sa grad level, no? Sa undergrad kasi hindi pwede yung fully online, no? But sa grad level, this means that we can still have professors offering fully online classes, but we already have, of course, graduate classes right now in this semester being offered in a blended mode, meaning combination ng synchronous and asynchronous activities. As in any case, the department is preparing for hybrid delivery of graduate courses. Meaning, if kung may face-to-face activity, pwedeng mag-join yung iba via Zoom, particularly yung dun sinasabi from the provinces and the regions. But this is something that needs to be agreed upon by the department, by the graduate faculty. But what I can also say is that the graduate faculty has hindi lang started, no, but most of us is now appreciating the utility of, no, distance and even blended delivery, no, not because ayaw namin mag face to face, but we see that it could be both, no? A graduate program can both be delivered distance in e-mode, in e-learning mode, as well as face-to-face. So, ang future mukha, no, ng graduate program instruction is this, no? And it will be more flexible. Especially, ito yung naging challenge ng mga estudyante namin sa program from the other SUCs, from the other provinces. Kasi, yan, si Donabel, she needed to be on leave, no, from her university. But if there could be arrangements that could be made that allows itong hybrid, that they could join and they can maybe come to campus once or twice a semester, who knows? This is something that the department is very much open. So that's what I can say. It's very much open. So if I were you, if you are from the regions and you want to apply, just apply. And the department will think of ways to adjust and accommodate yung situation. If not, we will tell you, no, and because this is something that needs to be decided by the graduate.
Okay, so thank you very much. Yeah, so please don't be discouraged, no, to apply kahit na malayo kayo. Okay. Any more questions? Maki, are there any more questions?
Isa pa
On
po,
the chat? Meron pa. Sige. Okay, so please read it out na lang.
May I ask if the department accepts transferees in graduate courses?
I defer to Ma'am Ruth on this kasi siya yung mas may experience, but parang start from scratch ba, Ma'am Ruth? Or may pwede naman mag-crediting, but I think, do we do that in the graduate program?
Ang difference between the undergrad and the graduate program is that very minimal yung ina-allow for transfer of credits. Yeah. So lalo na kung galing sa ibang institution kasi konti lang naman yung unit sa grad program. So yeah, correct. Most likely start from scratch.
Right. And also to add what Ma'am Ruth said, siguro kung ako rin sa inyo, I would rather get the course in the University of the Philippines. I'm not saying na dahil mas magaling or whatever, no, but all I'm saying is if you really want to succeed in the program, yung MA Pol Sci program kasi talagang pinag-aralan namin yan. We revised it in 2015. Tinignan namin yung sequencing, what role each required course will play, each core course will play, cognates. So lahat ng yon, no? So if you will not get the full experience of the graduate program, baka hindi ma-realize yung goals or yung program outcome. So I suggest that yung transfer of credits, just think about all the courses that you've taken as, you know, still going to help, no? Mm-hmm. Because kumbaga, tinignan ko yung mga MA programs, no, in political science in the entire country. We have the least number of credit units, 30. Others are 42, 36, and we will not, and UP, as you know, will not charge you an arm and a leg for per unit of that 30 units. So kumbaga yung value for money po nandun. Sorry parang hard sell ko na yung graduate program, but kumbaga sangka pa, nandito na yung mga specialist, tapos may value for money pa, nag-a-adjust pa according to context. So all we're saying is that this is a mandate given to us as self-imposed mandate, but also our mandate as a Center for Excellence, that we continue to train the next generation of political scientists in the country. So we're just living up to that commitment.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Meron pa, Maki?
Wala na po, ma'am. Okay,
sige. Pero yun nga, if you have more questions, so feel free to email us at polsci.up@up.edu.ph. Ayun. Okay? It's in our website. Okay. Sige, so wala na din. Maraming salamat ulit sa lahat ng nakadalo. So please remember that the deadline is on May 31. So I look forward to seeing all of you, some of you, during the panel interview. So we're very excited to have new students in our MA in Political Science program. Okay, so again, thank you and have a good rest of the weekend. Have a good lunch, everyone. So thank you. So yeah, again, looking forward to receiving your applications. Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for coming. Thank
you.
you, Ma'am Ruth, Sir Ali, Sir Dennis, Ma'am Sol. Bye.